try to keep it light. We've had a long day, so I think we just jump into it. We're going to be talking about the creator economy. Of course, the topic at hand is brand planning with creators, evolving for a creator-centric internet. Each one over here as well has enough and more experience in the influencer marketing ecosystem. To jump and set the stage, I'm going to jump at you, Ayan. That's okay. We've seen firsthand how the creator economy is reshaping brand strategies. From your vantage point, what do you see as the biggest opportunities for brands that are willing to lean into a creator-centric approach?
So I work at Colgate, and I joined Colgate 10 years back to create one piece of content from ideation to brief to finally in market. It took us 6 months. Then that one piece of content used to be aired for 3 years, and we believed that there was no ad wear-off, right? When we shifted, and 50% of our money is right now on digital marketing. When we shifted our money to digital marketing, we realized we opened up a whole world of authentic, personalized, creative at scale, agility. So gone are the days where we used to spend 6 months waiting to get a creative on air, then letting it play out, and then seeing brand metrics play out. With the creator-centric economy, from Colgate's perspective, we've seen agility at scale.
I can't even imagine how much content is churning out nowadays. If I may ask now, we emphasize the importance of integrating creators into long-term brand strategies. What role do you think creators can play beyond marketing, say in areas like product development or community building?
You want to go for that? Okay. So again, I'm with a wealth management outfit, okay, and we manage a lot of money. We manage a lot of money of very rich people, and we are quite surprised as to how the the money is coming in, and how the sectors or the geographies in which we used to play have become table stakes, and now geographies that we didn't even imagine would actually give us that kind of business have emerged, right? So places like Kochi, places like Gujarat, places like Ahmedabad, places like Rajkot, places like smaller cities and towns have now realized that there is a lot more to wealth, and there is life beyond real estate, gold, and deposits, right? And then there is a lot much more that they can actually look at how their money can actually work better. In that aspect, I think creators and the ability of being able to educate this class about how money can be managed much better as compared to the traditional asset classes has actually worked very well for us, right? And however, having said that, given the the regulated environment that we work in, and the fact that what the regulators actually also imposed on so-called influencers in terms of how they should be going out and creating content, has had a bit of a toll on us as well, right? And for the good, in my opinion, because there was like crazy kind of content getting developed, and people were going out left, right, and center advising on whatever they thought was the best way of making money. But now with the regulations in place, it has actually gotten streamlined a whole lot. We have to work with people who are, by the way, registered by the regulator, and the ability to actually give out quality content. So that has actually played fairly well in our case, and we've been very, very careful about whom we associate and what we actually go out and say. Because what it does is it streamlines the content. It also actually has a halo effect on the brand, because that there is quality content going out. That's actually been the the way that we've looked at how we go about doing our content.
I want to just chime in here that I think for a new age brand like XYXX, the fact that there was no way for us to really gain credibility on the efficacy or in terms of just people knowing the brand, I think creators have really sort of helped us gain that in a big way. Reach, I think, is a huge sort of metric that we sort of look at when it goes to creators, and it's been really fantastic to see how even something which otherwise is a very low engagement purchase like underwear, or even sort of more basic stuff like core fashion categories like solid t-shirts and so on, have really we've been able to up the game or really bring that premiumization because of the credibility that creators have helped us get.
Just on that one, it's interesting because sometimes the creator gives something to the brand and the brand gives something to the creator. Case in point, we launched this whitening booster gel, right, which gives efficacy in 3 days. When the creator was speaking about, using it for her important date versus when she was speaking about the science behind it, but when Colgate partnered with her in the same content to explain the science, Colgate's credibility in ensuring that this product worked better, but her use case, which is a personal life experience, worked better in that case. So both, you will identify what the creator will give to you and what the brand will give to the creator.
Absolutely.
I'm going to come back at you right now as well. You mentioned reach and other metrics, but now there are various brands that are using creators from a transactional point of view, which is their perspective, which is fine. What is your opinion on transactional and spike creator involvement versus long-term involvement?
I think it's a very category dependent conversation, honestly, because in certain categories like fashion, you cannot have a long term engagement with a creator. But in categories where trust and maybe financial services or tech and so on, the need for a creator to be a long term partner becomes that much more important. I also think that there are certain categories where because of the problem solution aspect of that category, whether it's beauty and personal care or nutraceuticals, there is a lot more that a creator can actually do with the product or with the brand, right? Whereas in certain categories that may be very limited to just sort of showing a look or so on in fashion, for example. So the depth and width of that partnership really depends, I think, category to category.
Completely agree. Uh, Now, considering you're from an accessories ecosystem, uh, the creator economy, people say, is still in its infancy stage. How do you see brands adapting to an ecosystem where creators aren't just partners, but potential competitors in building their own brands?
Okay, so I think to treat creators as competitors is, it's too. I wouldn't say that it's the right way to look at it, because creators can be your partners rather than your competitors. Also, it is it's a symbiotic relationship. When a brand works with the creators, brand has the ability to create products or services which are of certain quality. They have all the metrics in place. They know how to scale. They know how to manufacture, etc. So creators, when they are looking to partner and or create their own brand, they should work with brands who already have something. So we've done that globally with a lot of creators, where we've either created or curated collections with them. And every time we've done that, both the creator and the brand have benefited. So I don't see creators as competitors. I think the way brands, like, it's happened in past where, Nike has partnered with Michael Jordan to create the Air Jordan line and stuff like that. Those things will happen, but at a smaller scale with certain creators, where many of such Air Jordans will get created. So creators who have the foresight that they want to play the long-term game will be smart enough to partner with brands who have the legacy and the vision to create this for them over a period of time.
I think competition is good, right? If it takes so many companies, organizations to build categories, the more the merrier, I would say.
For agencies, that's always good. Sorry. You have done enough and more influencer marketing. And like you mentioned, content has also changed the way you've been building content over the years. From your category and your experience point of view, what are the KPIs that you believe are important, and how have you evolved those KPIs over time?
The biggest evolution which happened 5 years, maybe 4 years ago, was this whole concept of vanity metrics moving to actual KPIs that impact the funnel and then conversion. An example of what happened 6 months back. So we used to select creators basis average engagement of the past 10 posts, right? Then we moved our measures to a far stringent one where our benchmark now is the best in class engagement over the past 20 posts. So we're not comparing ourselves to a median, we're looking at the best in class. So these engagement metrics keep evolving with time. I think the biggest one for us has been moving from vanity to high quality engagement.
What happens if it's a miss?
I think the other thing is, if you start off with 3 creators and 4 pieces of content, you're gonna miss, right? So one other thing is that our principle is you have enough swimmers, and then you select the best swimmers that then you boost, and then you measure through BLS, BOM, etc., once you boost the content. So the principle is get as many swimmers up front, select the best out of them, and then you boost.
Coming to you. Well, the future is already moving towards quite a few different relationships in the creator economy with brands and creators. What do you think will be the next big evolution in the brand-creator relationship? And how do you think brands should prepare?
Again, actually, I should pass this one because it's been the biggest issue by which the reason why the SEBI regulator had to come in and actually stop what was happening, right? And the relationship that between say for example a BFSI institution or a BFSI company could actually with the influencer, right? In terms of the commission models, in terms of I'm assuming that's what you're kind of getting to, right? And how do you kind of look at what is in the future for us? I think the pure play, fee model works the best because that's the safest for us. And it does not get us entangled in any other unnecessary conversations with the regulator because our compliance is draconian and we have to actually follow that. One miss out there and the penalties are very heavy. In fact, just a couple of days back, I was attending something from Amarchand Mangaldas and Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas lawyer, and he was talking about data protection and how the data protection law is going to get enforced very soon. And for any breach of data which actually happens from our end, the penalty that actually is enforceable is around 500 crores for a single breach, and it is insane for a single breach. And to kind of even imagine to have this any other arrangement with a third party for us becomes very, very difficult. So for us, I think the pure play fee model works the best.
I think
even in the future.
No, absolutely. I'll just come to you, but so especially when it comes to see so many brands are going in the IPO ecosystem and coming purely from a financial ecosystem. IPO often pushes certain people to go into creator conversations. Now with SEBI guidelines, which are quite strict and in place, what are your thoughts on those brands that are actually going down the IPO route and using influencers in that fine gray line that is happening right now?
No, I don't get the question very clearly, but say for example, if a company is going IPO,
I think the SEBI guidelines kick in already, right?
Yeah, the SEBI guidelines already kick in. I mean, that has been there for ages for a company to, have a certain window in which they can communicate what is statutory and what is not statutory for that matter. The only ability that the regulation allows you to do out is there to kind of create any kind of brand preference if there is none, which exists for the brand. Say, for example, if it's like NTPC Green that went IPO and which is the mandate that we just followed and closed this year, just a few days back, there is sometimes a need for a creator to come on board and help you do that is permissible within the statutory limit. But if you go beyond, again, there is a bit of a challenge, right? And then again, there is, I mean, it is best to not get into the grays. It's best to remain black and white.
After 500 crore, definitely.
It is best to be black and white in these kind of scenarios because the minute you start dabbling in what is not allowed, then you will keep pushing the case in various jurisdictions and things like that. It's just not worth the effort or your money. In kind of any leverage that you get out of getting the creator on board.
Honestly, right now, after hearing 500 crore, I'm just happy
Can't
I'm
think
not
of anything else.
Yeah, I'm just happy I'm not in that field, okay.
And by the way, just to let you know, GDPR for that matter, and I'm sure you guys are already following GDPR rules and all of that. GDPR is a document which is a 400-page document that gives you bright lines about what is permissible, what is not permissible. India has chosen to have a 30-page document. Okay, and every other, effort to tell the government saying, okay, give us bright lines about what is permissible, what is not permissible, they are they are close to that conversation completely. So today it may be, tomorrow the same thing will be, hey, where's the check?
Completely understood. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, so to your question on how brands will work with creators in the future, so I think like I mentioned in the previous section also, brands will create products and services with creators, which may be short term, long term. Some Air Jordans will emerge out of these collaborations, sometimes it may not. But because now, unlike like he said, right, about a decade ago when he had to create a piece of content, he had to wait for 3 years, aram, say nothing is going to happen. There is no. So now, when we are making funnels, there are like 100 entry points that like a customer can have to start experiencing the brand. So like I was telling you, in our discussion, you may start with using a black cover, and then I'll slowly graduate you into, okay, buy this also, buy that also. But these creators will allow many more people to keep entering into the funnels. So they might enter because they like the creator. They may not buy what the creator is creating for them, but it's a great entry point into the brand. And then they will explore the brand much better. So it is a little deeper than just an influencer activity, but it kind of goes towards exactly the same thing. Someday, few more Air Jordans or Primes will get created, and yeah, that will happen.
I actually think there could be a lot of content IPs that could get created as well. I think there are going to be a lot of events that are going to get created. Like, I know Myntra does a really interesting creator fest. YouTube does a really interesting creator fest as well. And I think if brands sort of took that on, there's going to be even more that can, like, I mean, it it will no longer be restricted to a category or to a platform, but it could actually open up, some really interesting doors. The fact that what we were discussing about the Coldplay concert and that being, social currency, a lot of what the creators will do, the creators that the brands will associate with, all of this is going to become social currency eventually. So the sky is the limit to the kind of collaborations that can happen.
I love how digital creators are now going into the physical
But
world.
it's true.
No,
It's true.
absolutely. I'm not arguing.
Imagine if there were, like, I think there is a festival, the Spoken Fest, for example, that happens. It's all. And I imagine the niches from influencers to poets to, it's immense, intense, really crazy that what we could do if we actually. This is the tip of the iceberg. I think there's
So
a
most of
long way
the
to go.
products we create are so embedded in culture. Like I was telling you, like you mentioned about Picket Ball. We have a collection which is for Picket Ball fans, and you are the only one. So imagine like creating many such only ones like you, and then creating a collection for you, and creating a collection for him, creating a collection. She likes green. I have so many greens. So whatever. So basically, these micro niches, but these niches are so large that they make sense to create a product line for them.
No, also community building,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I mean, we're all part of some community or the other, whether you're a mother, whether you're a whiskey lover, whether you're a gin lover, whether you're a sneakerhead, and that again is completely going to be driven by creators.
Our founder recently gave an interview where he talked about the sneaker culture. It used to be something that we used to wear as a, it's something that covered your foot. But now there is imagine like there are people who are sneaker heads, and that is exactly what is going to happen in the mobile accessories market. People are going to collect accessories. And I was telling you that people are using phones for about 4 years, and in that 4 years, they'll buy at least 8 to 10 accessories to keep feeling that the phone is new. So, and some of these will actually be created with creators, because somebody will emerge at during that particular niche in their life, time in their life, which will create something which they want to flaunt.
There was this time where we used creator communities for inciting that went into product innovation.
Yeah.
So, for example, my grandfather is diabetic and was diabetic, and diabetes adversely impacts your oral health, and there are problems in the mouth. Now we have this diabetologist who had a nice community of people, and we asked him to launch a question saying that what are the things that go wrong with your mouth? What would you want to do to solve it? And what are the things that you're looking for to solve it? Verbatims from that fed into our research, fed into product formulation that would then give immediate impact, long-term impact, et cetera, et cetera. So that is, I mean, they open up a world of a highly engaged community that can feed into different parts of your product marketing experience and process.
There's actually, I mean, from our lens, financial frauds and scams have become a huge concern, right? And I can see a great amount of work that the creator community can do for us, and that is what we are trying to engage them with, and trying to help us. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you listen to a case, okay, which has happened, it's insane to the level of which people fall prey to such convincing arguments over a phone call, or for that matter, over an email. It's insane, right? Someone's actually decided to put in a couple of crores into someone's personal account, not realizing that it is not a fair body that they are interacting with. And it's just pure greed, because someone comes and tells you, hey, listen, you will get 800% of the money that you've kind of made, or you have, or you invest, and people fall for it. Now, here, educating, see, in some way, this, especially in the BFSI sector, the influencers have gotten a rap on their knuckles for having created various models which were not really good for them, right, or good for the industry. But the fact that they can now give back to this community through educating them about ensuring the basics of not falling prey to such scams is a great opportunity for us, and we are kind of leveraging that in a way for our brand. Proactively going out is the only way that you can actually solve for it. Otherwise, it's just kind of crazy.
Just to add to what Ayan was saying, right? I mean, a lot of what we're doing, for example, at XYXX, whether it's work leisure, tech wear, and so on, is actually speaking to communities of runners and cyclists and, people like you and me who work in the corporate space. And that's actually driving decision making on the product itself. So eventually that is the way the creator economy is also going to become more and more pertinent to brands.
I think community is a big example, but like you said, the power to do good is always potentially there. Uh, let's see when
It's good for them and it's good for us both. Actually,
No,
it's not.
absolutely.
It's not something that. Firstly, we are asking them to come on board for the heck of it. We are happy to kind of invest behind it, and also at the same time do it for the right reasons, which probably it'll do good for them as well as their brand of creator, right?
Definitely, because
It'll
it works
yeah.
both sides. I want to come at you with a very tricky question, but I love asking this question. See, I'm a big promoter of the creator economy, but I still, it's it's okay to admit problem when there is one. Like any industry, when it becomes large enough problems do come in. The creator economy is over 5,500 crores now. It's going to keep growing bigger with different avenues, not just with brands, but with that came a lot of fraud. With that came a lot of data fraud. I don't mean the fraud he was talking. That's also scary, but yeah. Fake followers, fake engagement, fake likes, fake views. It's all there. And it's a large number, not just in India, but across the globe. How do you as a brand look into that when you're looking at engaging with creators?
I think agencies like Chorus sort of help us there, obviously. But
It was a plug, right?
I swear, this is so obvious.
Subtle,
right, right.
subtle.
It seems like that. I did not intend it to be that way. But yeah, I do think that you need a filtration process, and I don't think that just the Meta ecosystem is sufficient to be that filtration process. Tech and agency is actually the only way that you can filter it out, because the honest truth is there's no playbook when it comes to this. There is nothing for any brand to follow per se, and a lot of it is sort of you're shooting in the dark, because what works today is not going to work tomorrow. The algorithms are constantly changing, so you sort of go with a trusted partner. I think, at least for brands that are our size, that makes the most sense. And you accept that there will be some hits and misses, and that's about it.
Uh, I'm going to jump. I think, wow, we really have a lot of time left. I've prepared for more people. Sorry. You thought I had too many questions. Okay, fine. We come to you now. As brands increasingly embrace influencer marketing, what do you think separates certain brands who are embracing it to certain brands who still haven't taken that plunge? And there are still many. So what is your point of view on that?
So it's not a straightforward answer. Lot of it depends on the category that you're playing in. So it'll be tougher for Colgate versus me. So for because it's a slightly more difficult category to use influencer marketing for. For me, it's much more easier because then I'm creating something which is embedded into culture. It's a mobile phone accessory, etc. So I don't think so. Only the brands are to blame to kind of do that. Also, the category plays a huge role, and anybody who's not doing a good job of it is probably not realized. And I'm also a convert. Okay, I was exactly like him. The एक piece of content which is well researched and then put out, and then there is you keep running it over a period of time. And I would want that anything that the brand is creating should be scripted, perfect, etc. Till I started working with creators, and now the reason why they love us, and most creators reach out directly to us to work with us, is because we offer something called as creative freedom. For most of the content pieces that have worked for us, nearly for 30 seconds the brand doesn't come, and I insist that please don't put the brand, because only when the engagement is high and when the brand kind of starts appearing is when you will start seeing the results. So any brand who's not doing it or not doing a great job of it should start trusting the creators, take some punts, and then kind of see the result coming through.
But if I may argue, I agree with you completely, but at the same time, you can't trust everyone.
Of course, you use the rights. You use your right set of agency partners to curate a list of creators. You see like some of the metrics that he mentioned, that you see what is their highest engagement rate over 20 posts. What I look at is that if they worked with a brand, is that content working? Because a lot of the creators might have their following, and their lip sync songs might do really well, like they do 5 million, 10 million views, but when they work with brand, it will not even touch a million. So that becomes a huge problem. So I also look at how when they work with the brand, like with a brand, how does it work? And therefore, what we've at least as a formula realized is that when the content is so, when the brand is very embedded into the content, and for me it's much easier, it becomes something that works for us.
But if I may just jump at you, Ayan, one is about, like he mentioned, it's maybe easier for him than, say, a Colgate. But legacy brands, again, larger companies, larger structures, larger processes, if I may say that in freedom, versus, say, a startup which may not have that many layers. How do you tackle those conversations and new creator conversations that are coming up and arguably moving at a very wild pace?
I'm fortunate to work in an organization that is constantly evolving. So we're not promoter driven, right? We are very efficiency driven, effectiveness driven, right? One big thing that differentiates or helps us is that our leadership team, etc., they visit the consumer households almost once in a quarter. One big shift that they've noticed themselves is that maybe 15 years back, 10 years back, 5 years back perhaps, when they'd visit a consumer house, they'd see the TV playing in the background, right? Always on, passive listening, somewhere there in your residual memory, etc. Now, TVs are off, right? Everyone's on their phones. So they've realized that, listen, linear TV is not going to work, which is why, like I said, 50% of the money is now off TV, even though we're a mass brand, so we must maintain principles of reach, frequency, etc. But 50% is into digital marketing, which is on platform, off platform. So I would bring it back to culture and the desire for efficiency and effectiveness in an organization.
I want to just sort of add here that I also think it's a function of your appetite for risk and you know what your ambition is, right? Because for a legacy brand, it's actually they have like their distribution set. There is a lot of work that's gone on in the past whatever 30, 40, 80 years. But for a new age brand, honestly, the you cannot just wake up and do TV. You cannot just wake up and have Kareena Kapoor as your email, on your emailers, right? It's very difficult. You need a lot of sort of investment. So the creator economy sort of actually is a fail-safe for new age brands. And that almost, I mean, the way that they utilize it, really matters. The other part, I think, is also a function of the grabbing eyeballs today is so difficult. It is so difficult. So if you are not disrupting, and as a challenger brand, honestly, if you are not disrupting, I mean, imagine all of Bombay has Kusha Kapilas, with Vaseline, the hoardings, plastered across Bombay. And that's because in a sea of beauty brands, how do you sort of stand out?
That also goes to say the credibility of these creators, right? Kusha Kapila on a Unilever Vaseline brand was probably never, it was impossible to think of because, to have, I mean, they wouldn't even touch a local celebrity or a regional celebrity for that matter to kind of endorse a brand. I'm sure this is not an endorsement or maybe it's just a, smart play at casting. But to even consider a creator as a cast for their brand, is quite commendable to the fact that the creator economy is doing fantastically well for a lot of brands, including large ones for that
Yeah,
matter.
so Colgate did it with Dolly, right?
Dolly is in-
Yeah, that was a beautiful
I'm
campaign.
sure you also wouldn't have thought about doing something like that in the past. I mean,
No.
3 years back, would you have thought about,
No,
getting someone like a creator
no,
on
in
your
fact,
brand?
it's really funny. I love taking on people with legacy mindsets in my organization. There was this one time where we launched a product and the CMO back then said, listen, I want Anushka Sharma for this. I will pay 50 lakhs for one post that will get 3 million views and all that. And I said, fine, we'll do that. You have the money, we'll do that. Here's another model that I want to try. We'll measure efficacy and efficiency afterwards. This one on daily, which is the first one, got great views, traffic onto the platform, etc. But that was a one-time spike. Yeah. We sold like 500 units for, how the amount we spent. The other model, which is now well documented as learning, so that any person who comes in, we just show the playbook. This is what we did. This is what we did. Here is the better model. So now back to that, culture plus documenting different models and success is extremely important to be able to shift legacy mindsets.
And Ayan will share that with all of us. But okay, I think, I'm sorry, but we're a bit short on time. That was everybody here today. Thank you so much, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone over here.